Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. I am your host, Nelson, here on this wonderful Monday afternoon, and it's the first day of July, so it's fantastic. And, I'm also featured by a fly. Oh, two of them actually. So yeah, if you see me do this 24/7, it's because there's a fly around me. For those of you guys on the audio side, you guys can't see anything, so you guys don't have to worry about anything. There's a lot of stuff that happened over the weekend in basketball. A lot of stuff in free agency. I'm very, very surprised with how quickly this has been moving in free agency. There's a lot to talk about. So first things first, we obviously have to talk about Paul George. He recently signed a huge contract with the 76ers. It was rumored that he was looking for the max. He ended up getting the max from the 76ers. Honestly, not really that surprising, but I'm just going to talk a little bit about that. Then in the second segment, we're going to talk about LeBron James and how he declined his player option, and we're just going to talk about the reasons why and like what could lead in like what that could mean for the Lakers and for the future. Then in the third segment, we are going to talk about Chris Paul signing with the San Antonio Spurs and teaming up with Wembanyama. Just going to talk a little bit about that. And then in the fourth segment, I'm going to talk about two things. I'm going to talk about Klay Thompson and his little situation, as well as Dejounte Murray getting traded to the Pelicans. Now, because since that happened over the weekend and literally right after my my segment on Friday, I couldn't talk about it. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about that here in the fourth segment. We also have a special fifth segment that I reveal at the end of the fourth segment, so be sure to stay tuned for that as well. And let's see right here. Before I begin, however, I'd like to remind everybody, as usual, to please remember to use the link in the description to get your comments recognized, or the link displayed below the ticker on every single show segment. That is GSMCPodcast.net. It really helps the show, makes it much more interactive between myself and you guys, and just a fly on my TV's, not my TV, the computer. Once again, the link is GSMCPodcast.net. And with that out of the way, and hopefully the fly out of the way as well, we can go right ahead and get into this first segment, which is going to be all about Paul George and his decision to leave the Clippers in free agency and go to the 76ers. So I'm pulling up the slides I have right now just so you could see exactly who Paul George is. For those of you guys who have no idea who he is, any of you casual fans out there, just pulling it up the screen just so you guys can see. So there we go. That's his face. So Paul George, he was on the Clippers. He had a player option. He wanted the max, though. So he ended up declining his player option and tested the market of free agency. He didn't test it very long, and, he ended up choosing the 76ers to be his home, his new home, and where he's hopefully going to win a championship and is expected to win a championship. Honestly, I mean, this is a good pickup for the 76ers. Like, it's genuinely a great pickup, and the contract negotiations, it's a 4-year, $212 million max contract. And I believe that there is a player option involved in that contract as well. And now, I thought this was good. However, one of my friends that's in this group chat right now actually is actually wait just a minute. We have some breaking news coming in. Woes just tweeted out something, so I'm gonna just go ahead and talk about that as well. So just give me 1 second. So, literally as I was doing this segment, Derek White has agreed to a 4-year, $125 million contract extension. So, that is a lot of money coming in from a fourth option. However, I'm not going to knock the Celtics on trying to re-sign this man. I mean, he literally lost a tooth just to win a championship for them. And honestly, he brings tremendous value to the team. He was second all defensive selection. Like, he was on the second team all defense. And he's really been a very important piece to the Celtics team, despite the fact that he was the number 4 option on the team. Arguably, like, I mean, there's debate that he wasn't even the 4th option. It depends on how you look at it, but he brought tremendous value to the team, and he's gotten much better at scoring and on top of his defense. So I genuinely this is a great pickup for the Celtics. They can easily run it back, try and win back to back. That would be like the nightmare scenario if they end up winning back to back, but just a good pickup for the Celtics. And if you guys want me to cover it a little bit more in depth, he signed $125.9 million for 4 years. So if you want me to go a little bit more in depth with this move, then I can do that in a later segment, like maybe tomorrow. But that was just a Woj tweet that just came out of nowhere, and I was expecting them to re-sign all of their players, and Derek White, I don't see him going anywhere else other than the Boston Celtics. So great move for Boston. Great move from Derek White. He got the money, and he's happy with winning the championship and the incentives that come with it. So that is one huge free agent signing. Now we're going to talk about the other free agent signing, where it's with Paul George, before I was rudely interrupted by Woj. So, I mean, this deal, with Paul George, it's my friend who I was just talking about before that Woj tweet came out. He didn't like how much money the Sixers were offering up Paul George, because now, they're paying Paul George so much money, but now they're gonna have to try and work out a deal with Tyrese Maxey, and how much money are they going to pay Maxey? That's really the big question that he had, because Maxey, he had a phenomenal season last year, and he deserves to get that money. But if you're paying Paul George, how are you going to pay Maxey all that money? That was really his main concern, and I'm sure the Sixers, according to some of the sources, the Sixers have been in conversations with Maxey, and they've been trying to figure out a good deal that would suit him. But Maxey has been all for recruiting talent and bringing talent to the 76ers to give them a better chance to win. So I think maybe, he'll take a pay cut and expect to be paid in the future. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. However, Daryl Morey does have a history of, making all of these moves, and according to James Harden, not keeping promises. So there's no real guarantee that that's going to happen. But we'll see how the rest of the free agency unfolds and things like that. But with this signing, the Clippers era with Paul George has come to an end. Kawhi and Paul George, that duo is without a doubt one of the biggest failures in the Clippers organization, and one of the biggest failures in the NBA, period. Especially in the modern NBA. Kawhi and Paul George, they finished their 5 years playing just 26 playoff games together. They finished with a 137-70 record when playing together. That's a 66 win percentage, and they finished 124-57 together in the regular season, and 13-13 in the postseason. So this, by far, this was the worst trade in NBA history. The trade that sent Paul George to the Clippers. One of the worst trades in NBA history by far. Now I'm just trying to find the trade. I know I had it saved here. Here we go. So, the Clippers, just to remind you guys, the Clippers gave up Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Danilo Gallinari, a 2022 first-round pick, which ended up being Jalen Williams, a 2024 first-round pick, 2026 first-round pick, a Miami 2021 first-round pick, which ended up being Trey Mann, Miami 2023 first-round pick, Clippers 2023 first-round pick with the right to swap, and a Clippers 2025 first-round pick with the right to swap for Paul George. And all of that just to not win a single title in LA, which was what they were looking for when trading for Paul George. Remember, Kawhi Leonard said, I'm not joining the Clippers unless you get Paul George. They got Paul George, and then he signed with the Clippers. And they haven't done anything. They didn't do anything with with this move. Oh, and another thing that I completely forgot to mention before. Actually, you know what? I'll bring that up in a later segment. But they did nothing in the postseason. Absolutely nothing. LeBron and the Lakers got more hate for winning a title than Paul George and the Clippers have gotten for only making one Western Conference Finals appearance. And even then, they made that conference finals appearance without Kawhi Leonard. And they did it with Paul George, ironically enough. But this is arguably one of the worst trades in NBA history. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. It's definitely up there with the Brooklyn Nets trading for Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, as well as the Atlanta Hawks trading Bill Russell to the Boston Celtics. It's kind of ironic how two of the worst trades in NBA history ended up benefiting the Boston Celtics, and especially now in hindsight, because those picks that the Nets ended up giving up for Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce ended up winning a championship, and one of them ended up winning a Finals MVP. So that is a huge slap to the face to the Brooklyn Nets and my favorite organization, and this is probably going to be one as well. However, I'm not entirely sure how Joel Embiid and Paul George and Maxey they're going to be in the postseason. For one, Joel Embiid gets injured in every single postseason. Like, I know I'm not preying on his downfall. I'm not preying on his injuries. I'm not doing any of that. But you can't lie when, like, that's just a fact. That is just a proven fact. There's only one postseason where Joel Embiid has been fully healthy. Only one. And so I think it's fair for me to just, off of recent history and what's been going on, to expect Joel Embiid to get injured yet again, especially with his play style. Not to mention Paul George, he's also rather injury prone, and especially in the postseason. Get away from that fly. But let me know in the comments what you guys think of this deal. Do you agree with it? Do you think the Sixers are going to end up finally making it out of the second round? Because that is something that they still haven't been able to do, despite having so many talented players. Joel Embiid, James Harden, Ben Simmons at his prime. Obviously, he played horrible in the postseason. Tobias Harris, who ended up scoring 0 points in an elimination game. And, now with Maxey. So let me know in the comments what you guys think of this signing. If you guys agree with it. If you guys think that's a little bit too much money to be giving to Paul George. And this and that and the other. So with that, we are out of time for this first segment. So now we will be going into the second segment, talking about everyone's favorite player, LeBron James, and what is going on with the Lakers. So I will be right back after this short break. Be sure to stay tuned.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. Some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
And we are back with the second segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this second segment, we are going to talk about the GOAT, greatest basketball player ever, LeBron James, and his decision to not take his player option. The fly is on my keyboard now. Jeez, it's like they're everywhere. But I'm going to try to ignore it for now, but it's really difficult when it's flying in your face. So before I begin in this second segment, I like to remind everybody to please use the link in the description to get your comments recognized or the link displayed below the ticker on every single show segment. That is GSMCPodcast.net. It really helps the show, makes the show much more interactive between myself and you guys. Once again, the link is GSMCPodcast.net. And with that out of the way, we can go right ahead and talk about LeBron James as well as the Los Angeles Lakers because, they are a huge topic in free agency. As I've said before, and I've said several times, the Lakers, they think they're going to get every single player under the sun and miraculously think they're going to get every single player under the sun and eventually sign whoever it is that they want to sign. It's something that happens every single time in the offseason with the Lakers. It's a little bit repetitive, it's a little bit annoying, but now, given LeBron's decision, I think it might be a little bit more plausible to believe that. Now, I'll explain why. So, LeBron, he declined his player option, and the reason why he declined it is because he is expecting to take a pay cut. And what this pay cut is going to do is essentially allow the Lakers to sign all the talent that they need to create a good roster. Now, that's what you think. However, they want the Lakers to go all in. They want the Lakers to go all in on one player, and there's a lot of speculation that the player is going to be, between Donovan Mitchell or Klay Thompson. Given how the Warriors, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the fourth segment, but the Warriors and Klay Thompson couldn't come to a contract agreement, and so now he is going to test the market in free agency, the Lakers being one of the options. Now, Klay Thompson, I believe he's had several relatives in Los Angeles. Yes, he is from LA. His dad has connections with the Lakers, and LeBron also called him to pitch for the Lakers. So, and not to mention, I'm going to talk all about this again in the fourth segment, but still, all of these need to be taken into consideration when we're thinking of free agents and who's probably going to sign with the Lakers. Now, another thing that I should also mention is that D'Angelo Russell ended up picking up his player option and is once again on the Lakers, unfortunately, because if you guys remember in the postseason, D'Angelo Russell was terrible in the postseason. Absolutely terrible. And what made matters even worse was that the Denver Nuggets were absolutely phenomenal. So it was just a recipe for disaster in the postseason for LeBron. And it's the second time in his entire career that he's ever gotten eliminated in the first round. And it's really, really, really infuriating because it's like LeBron cannot do anything about that. That is entirely out of his control. But obviously, people are still going to blame him because he's LeBron. And as unfortunate as that is, I've learned to live with it as a LeBron fan. But I do agree that this is the right step to, gaining the talent. I might not like how the Lakers are approaching the gaining the talent, just focusing on getting one star, for the team. I think you need to build a good team around LeBron and Anthony Davis, but, trying to get Klay Thompson isn't really a bad thing, in my opinion. Everyone's going to joke about how Klay Thompson went 0 for 10 in an elimination game, but put some respect on that man. He has 4 championship rings, and before that elimination game, he was lights out from 3 in the postseason. He had so many different personas. Game 6 Klay, that was one of them. Game 6 Klay, headband Klay. What other ones are, I don't even remember all the names, but he was a ridiculous athlete in the postseason, and he's always been a phenomenal shooter. Put some respect on the man. Just because recently he went 0 for 10 doesn't mean, we gotta completely, tarnish him and his legacy and what he's done in the postseason. 37 points in the quarter, that wasn't in the postseason, that was in the regular season, but still, that's very impressive. And 60 points on 11 dribbles is also very impressive. But, I digress. That's all, I'll talk about that a little bit later. But again, this is sort of this is the same thing that Tom Brady did when he was in the NFL. He was notorious for taking pay cuts so that the Patriots could sign talented players and that would, help him win. Like, that was the ultimate goal, and that's why he gained so much praise, because the only thing he cares about is winning. And that's why he took all of those pay cuts. So now LeBron, he's gonna be doing the same thing, trying to take the pay cuts. Lil Fettuccine, where is Chris Paul going? I'm actually talking about that in the third segment. He signed with the San Antonio Spurs. That happened yesterday. He got waived by the Golden State Warriors, and he ended up signing with the Spurs. So there you go. But this is sort of like my opinions on like the Lakers, and like, I mean, signing, I feel like they already have a really good sharpshooter with Kanech, but then again, obviously, Klay Thompson is just going to be, get out of here, fly. Klay Thompson is just going to be the better option, because of the experience, and it would be kind of cool to see how Klay Thompson, he played with Steph Curry, and now he's going to play with LeBron James, the guy that Steph Curry was trying to beat for so many years in the finals. I mean, 4 finals appearances, 4 straight, where it was just LeBron and Steph Curry matching up against each other. And obviously, Steph Curry ultimately ended up gaining the upper hand. But this might be a new chapter for Klay Thompson, and if that does happen. But I know I'm supposed to be talking about LeBron. It's just so many stuff has happened in free agency, and it's just really difficult to keep up. But I think that, obviously with his son getting a bunch of money as well, and declining the player option, and, expecting to take a huge pay cut, it's not the worst move that LeBron could have done for the Lakers. Now, it would be hilarious that he declines his player option and then he decides to go to a completely new team in the free agency market. That would be so funny, but according to all the reports, it's stated that he has the plans of signing another contract with the Lakers with just, with significantly less money, so that the Lakers can acquire that talent. And I really wish that they wouldn't go the third superstar route or the third star route. I would prefer that they build a solid team like how they did, like how they had a solid team in 2020, but that's just me. And I mean, that's sort of the expectations for the Lakers and for LeBron. We'll see how this will translate and the players that they can get in the offseason, but that's basically all the news with LeBron and the Lakers. I mentioned how D'Lo, he already picked up his player option, so he's back on the Lakers. So there's the point guard that you guys needed. I understand he was horrible in the postseason, but maybe, just maybe, things will change in the future. Who knows? And now all that's left is to just maybe, if they do get Klay Thompson, or if they get somebody else in the free agency market, depends on who they get, maybe my opinions on the Lakers will change. But as you guys know, I never doubt LeBron. I have no idea how far they're going to go, but I always think they're going to make the finals when LeBron is on the team. Doesn't matter the situation. Until they lose, I never count LeBron out, because for several years, he's always proven me wrong. It happened so many years. Like, everyone thought he was going to lose in Game 6 against Boston. That didn't happen. Everyone thought that he was going to lose to the Spurs in Game 6. That didn't happen. Everyone thought that he was going to decline in 2015. That never happened. Everyone thought that the Cavs, they didn't have a chance in the Eastern Conference. That didn't happen. Like, everyone thought that the Raptors were going to beat LeBron in 2018. That didn't happen. Everyone thought that the Celtics were going to beat LeBron in 2018. That didn't happen. Everyone thought that the Blazers were going to beat the Lakers in the bubble. That didn't happen. Everyone thought that Houston was going to give the Lakers a hard time. That didn't happen. Everyone thought, like, every single time LeBron has proven me wrong, so I just never doubt him. Plain and simple. That is the end of that. So that's the reason why I don't doubt LeBron. Never, ever doubt LeBron. But that's all I have for the second segment. So next we will go ahead and go into the third segment, talking and answering Lil Fettuccine's question, where Chris Paul is going. And he is obviously, like I said before, he's going to the San Antonio Spurs. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and the situation that was going on in the Warriors, like with Chris Paul and what caused him to decide to go to the San Antonio Spurs. So I'll discuss that right after this short break, but be sure to stay tuned.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And we are back with the third segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this third segment, we are going to talk about Chris Paul signing with the San Antonio Spurs and teaming up with the alien, probably one of the best rookies to ever set foot on a basketball court. One of them, obviously, I still think LeBron James is one of the best rookies, but Victor Wembanyama is a very, very close second. Like, if you put Victor over LeBron, I have no problem with that, honestly, but, like, I mean, Victor Wembanyama, whoops, that's not Victor Wembanyama. Oops. That's Victor Wembanyama right there, the alien, as they like to call it. And there's Chris Paul. Chris Paul is 6'3", by the way, or 6'2", however you want to call it. And he looks like a toddler compared to Victor Wembanyama. And, you know, the way that this signing ended up happening, it was a lot happened to that caused this to happen. Like, so the Warriors, they were holding Chris Paul, and they've also been holding Andrew Wiggins for trade offers. Now, I find it very, very, very odd how, the Warriors, they really wanted to trade Andrew Wiggins. Here comes a trade, and they decline it. And the trade was supposed to be between the Warriors and the Chicago Bulls. Now, Golden State, they obviously, Klay Thompson, he's on his way out, so they were preparing for him to leave, and the Warriors, they obviously wanted to add some talent to replace Klay Thompson, because that's the thought process. Klay Thompson is going to end up leaving. But one thing that they ended up doing was they ended up turning down a trade from the Chicago Bulls that would have sent Zach LaVine over to the Golden State Warriors. Now, Zach LaVine, the Bulls, and they've been struggling to try and trade Zach LaVine. They almost cannot trade Zach LaVine because, the amount of money that he has on his contract, a lot of teams are going to be, they could potentially be in the second apron if they do take that player. But, I mean, this, it's really sad how the Bulls, they really want to trade Zach LaVine, but not a single team is interested in getting Zach LaVine. It's really, really unfortunate, and it's a really bad situation that the Bulls find themselves in. They're trying to find a new home for Zach LaVine, and Chris Haynes, an NBA insider, he recently revealed that Chicago attempted to send Zach LaVine to Golden State. In exchange, the Bulls wanted to get Chris Paul and Andrew Wiggins, as well as a couple of picks, I believe. But let me see. The Warriors, they declined it, which again says a lot about Zach LaVine's overall value league-wide, because, everyone is declining trade left and right for Zach LaVine. And, the Warriors, they're reportedly shopping Andrew Wiggins on the market, but it's clear that they want nothing to do with Zach LaVine. they also turned down a chance to get something out of Chris Paul as opposed to their decision to, like, they just decided to waive him. Like, that was really what it was. After the trade proposal came in for Chris Paul, they declined the trade proposal, and then the Warriors decided to waive Chris Paul entirely. Now, this ultimately ended up favoring Victor Wembanyama, because now Chris Paul, he's a San Antonio Spur. And I've said several times, I've said it every single time, that Victor Wembanyama, he needs that point guard. He needs that, that pass-first point guard that's able to play make, that's able to set him up with lobs, that's able to set him up with good looks, and is actually willing to give him the ball and let him do things with the ball. He finally has that now. Chris Paul, while he is relatively old and arguably, according to some fans and according to the media and just based off of the numbers and what he's done previously in his career, he's a little bit, I don't want to say he's washed up, but I will say he is rather old. He can't do this forever, but his longevity is ridiculous. I might just say. But as a playmaker, he hasn't lost a step whatsoever. Him in the pick and roll it's almost automatic. Every single time in a pick and roll, he loves to lean on that mid-range shot. He is money at that mid-range area. And not only that, Chris Paul, if you guys don't remember, back in the day when he was on the Clippers in 2014, 2015, and 2016, those years, he was the main catalyst and the best player on the Clippers for Lob City. And Lob City, that was Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan, in case you guys forgot. And it was just, lob after lob after lob. Chris Paul was phenomenal with Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. Unfortunately, it didn't translate in the postseason, but this isn't really, I'm not entirely sure if that's really what we're going for or what the Spurs are going for when they were getting Chris Paul. They just wanted a good point guard that would set Victor Wembanyama up and just allow Victor Wembanyama to do the things that he needs to do. And I really think this is actually going to help Victor in the future, because Victor in his rookie season, that was arguably the worst that we've seen Victor Wembanyama, which is scary because he almost won Defensive Player of the Year. Almost. And obviously, he won Rookie of the Year unanimously. Anybody that was saying he wasn't going to win Rookie of the Year is just a hater or doesn't understand basketball. He was by far, the best rookie in that entire class. And he's only going to get better. Now, with Chris Paul, they might accelerate just how good he's going to be. Now, I genuinely think, there's not really much effort that Chris Paul would have to put into this either. He is 7'4". In a pick and roll, this is going to be deadly. And, because no one can really go up there and catch the ball, with him. And it's really going to be a sight to see. It's Lob City Part 2. This is what I call it. Lob City Part 2. It's going to be a phenomenal thing to see. I'm very excited for the season and for Victor Wembanyama to ball out. And I honestly think that sending Chris Paul over there, while he might not be the young point guard that I wanted to pair with Victor Wembanyama to be, the duo for long term, this will help them. This will help them for a while, just for the 1 year that he has it, just a little bit. And if Victor can learn, maybe Victor can learn a couple of things from Chris Paul, because one thing that separates Victor from every other center is the ability to handle the ball like he's a guard. He has a crazy handle. From the clips that you can watch it from clips, you can watch it from everywhere. He has a crazy handle for being a center. Obviously, I'm not saying that he's the only center that has a handle, but his handle, for being a rookie, it's incredibly solid. So the fact that he has the play style, that he's able to play like a guard, obviously it's going to benefit him in the long term with his game, but he could learn a couple of things from Chris Paul. And how to be a facilitator, how to be a passer, like how to be a much better passer. He could learn that, because one of the weaknesses about Victor Wembanyama's game is arguably the fact that that his passing isn't up to par. That was the only stat that he wasn't leading all rookies in. Now, obviously, that might not necessarily be his role on the team, so you're not really expecting him to get the assists. But if he could learn from Chris Paul, like, the importance of, passing, where to make the right play, how to do this, how to do that, that could expand his game, like, to a whole new level. Like, just being a passer and then he would literally be a 7'4" point guard, which is scary to think about. Like, it is very, very scary to think about. And really, like, I'm very excited. Like, the sky's the limit for this guy, and Chris Paul, he's gonna throw so many lobs to Victor. It's gonna be so much fun to watch. Maybe now the Spurs, like, as a team, they might, not to mention another thing that Chris Paul brings, like, is his leadership. Like, he is a pretty good leader in the regular season. Like, again, this is only for the regular season, because as much praise as I'm giving Chris Paul, he is notorious for losing in the playoffs when he shouldn't lose in the playoffs. Notorious. Like, he's blown several leads before in the postseason, and he's blown several 2-0 leads, he's blown 3-2 leads, he's blown 3-1 leads. Like, it happens, and it's really, like, it's really unfortunate that a point guard with the resume of Chris Paul is only going to be remembered as a playoff choker and somebody who can't get it done when the lights shine the brightest. That's really, like, it's unfortunate, and I really wish that wasn't the case. But this is going to help Victor in the long run, like, for the regular season. But that's all I have for this third segment. So now we will go ahead and go into the fourth segment. Jesus, what is up with me today with these segments? We're going to go ahead and go into the fourth segment, where I talk more about free agency. I'm actually going to talk about two different topics in free agency. So I'm going to talk about Klay Thompson again, and the teams that are looking to possibly get him, as well as the Dejounte Murray trade that I do want to touch up on, because I am very surprised with this trade. So I will be right back after this short break. Be sure to stay tuned.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we are back with the fourth segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. That fly is just annoying. And in this fourth segment, we are going to be fighting the fly, and we are also going to be talking about Klay Thompson and his free agency, like what could possibly happen, what teams are interested in him, as well as Dejounte Murray and the trade. Let's see, what do I want to talk about first? You know what? Might as well talk about Dejounte Murray first, because, like, that's really, like, hold on, let's just load. There we go. Because that trade, it's already been finalized, so I can essentially talk a little bit about the trade and my opinions on the trade. So I'm just going to open up the details for the trade right now. So the Pelicans are receiving Dejounte Murray in exchange for Larry Nance Jr., Dyson Daniels, 2025 Lakers first-round pick, and a 2027 Milwaukee first-round pick / New Orleans Pelicans first-round pick. Like that, those were the trade deals, and that was the trade details. So essentially, they got Larry Nance, Dyson Daniels, and a few picks, the Atlanta Hawks. Now, I'm very, very, very surprised with how cheap this deal is coming in from the Hawks. Like, I fully expected the Hawks to force the Pelicans' hand and try to, get the Pelicans to get rid of Brandon Ingram. I fully thought that was what was going to happen. But, they got him for extremely cheap. Like, the Pelicans ended up getting Dejounte for extremely cheap, and I am very, very surprised. Like, there's no words. There's genuinely no words, because it's like, Dejounte Murray, while the experience with the Hawks wasn't all that, fascinating and things like that, I still expected the Hawks to gain some sort of value coming in from this trade. I mean, giving up Dejounte for Larry Nance, Dyson Daniels, and a couple of picks, that's nothing, I think. Like, they should have, if it was like Dejounte and Brandon Ingram, just a straight player swap, I would have definitely agreed with that a little bit more. Like, that would be a totally solid return, like a solid player for a solid player. But here it's just, a solid player in exchange for picks and a couple of okay players. Like, I don't think that's a balanced trade at all. And it's I think this is a very underwhelming return for the Atlanta Hawks. I have no idea what the Hawks have been doing this entirety of the free agency. In my opinion, they messed up the draft. They should have got Alex Sarr at the draft as the first pick, but instead they ended up getting another guy from French. Why? Why would they give up? Why would they not pick Alex Sarr? I already think they messed that up. And now here they go messing up a trade where they get a bare minimum return for Dejounte Murray. Dejounte was their second option. And you're getting a minimum return piece for that. Like, what kind of deal is that? What kind of deal is that? Like, maybe this is because, they have hope on Zachary. That was the number one pick that they ended up getting. Maybe they have hope that he's going to be a good asset and they want him to develop. But no, I don't agree with this move at all. I really don't. I think this is incredibly weak coming in from the Hawks. This is a bad move. It's horrible. I think this is just a bad trade. But that is just me. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of this trade. But this is just, I don't think this is a very good trade. That is just me, though. And now we can move on and go talk about the Klay Thompson little debacle that's going on. Let me just go ahead and see if I have anything else that I need to talk about. No, I don't. So now we're going to shift our focus over to Klay Thompson and the possibilities of where he's going to go. So Klay Thompson, like I mentioned before, the Warriors and Klay Thompson, they were unable to come up with a contract agreement, and now Klay Thompson is going to test the free agency market. So the teams that might look to go get him, there is the Orlando Magic. That is one of the teams that could end up getting Klay Thompson. Then there's also, the Dallas Mavericks. While I do think it's going to be a risk for the Dallas Mavericks to give Klay Thompson all of that money, maybe it'll be worth it. Maybe. Maybe. Again, huge maybe. Because, you're basically, asking to go into that second. You're basically asking to go into the second apron. You have to win if you're going into that decision. But maybe that's not really the best option for the Dallas Mavericks to go and get him. However, another option, as I alluded to before in the second segment, is that Klay Thompson could end up going to the Los Angeles Lakers. Like I said before, his dad, he was from Los Angeles, and his dad also has connections with the Lakers. Not to mention LeBron called him as well. So maybe that will be enough to change his mind and decide to go with the Los Angeles Lakers in the hopes that they can win the championship. And it would be really ironic to see Klay Thompson go to play with LeBron. It would literally personify the phrase, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. That is literally what it is. It's honestly like, it would be a similar thing to like how Ray Allen decided to leave the Celtics and go play with LeBron on the Miami Heat. That was one of the, the biggest decisions that stung with the Celtics, and especially with Kevin Garnett. Like, Kevin Garnett really gets ticked off thinking about the fact that Ray Allen betrayed them. Like, that was sort of like the thought process, because Kevin Garnett, he's very, I don't want to say he's emotional, because like he's very passionate. That's the word that I'm looking for. So, do I think Klay Thompson is going to go to the Lakers? I don't think so. And the only reason why I think that is because LeBron has terrible luck getting free agents. Now, if he does end up going to the Lakers, I think, the bad luck is going to be that Klay Thompson can't shoot anymore. That's really what it's going to be. But who knows? Maybe this will end up working out for the better. Maybe Klay Thompson will actually be able to shoot when paired with LeBron. Because one of the things like that's incredibly underrated about LeBron, and well, I can't even say that it's underrated, honestly. It's his playmaking. Like, because while he is actually, I think honestly one of the underrated things about LeBron, ironically enough, is his scoring. But his playmaking is elite, without a doubt. And pairing him with Klay Thompson, not to mention with the coaching of JJ Redick, that's one thing that I didn't mention in the second segment. But JJ Redick, while he is inexperienced and he probably, can the lighting just work for me for a second, please? Thank you. While he is inexperienced with coaching, and this is going to be his first coaching opportunity, coaching Klay Thompson, I think, is going to be really easy for him, because JJ Redick essentially used to be like, the same kind of player that Klay Thompson is. I mean, I've seen JJ Redick run around screens, catch and shoot, and they run they run those off-ball screens for JJ Redick just so he can, flare out and immediately pop. So I genuinely think that JJ Redick would be able to coach Klay Thompson pretty well on the Lakers, and make plays that are able to set him up phenomenally. Now, we have somebody in the chat, Mainit K. I have no idea how to pronounce the name. Mainit K6. I'm just gonna say, you think Klay still has D move? What about his defense? Oh, do you think Klay still I have no idea what he's trying to say. Do I think it's I don't know what you're trying to say. What about his defense? I mean, I can answer that. His defense is definitely not the same as it was before. Like, it's clear cut. It's not the same as it was before. But really, I'm not looking at his defense. I'm more so looking at the shooting that he brings to the table, because that is the value that he is going to bring to any team that he's a part of now. And you might argue, oh, but he went 0 for 10 in an elimination game. That was one game. Like, I'm tired of that disrespect that they keep giving Klay Thompson, because I grew up when the league respected Klay Thompson, that everyone was scared whenever the ball touched his hands because everyone thought that the shot was going in. That's the Klay Thompson that I remember. And, obviously 0 for 10 recently in an elimination game, it's not very good. I'm not saying that it's good. But you can't have that one performance define his entire legacy. That's just me, though. Now, do I think Klay still has D move? I have no idea what you're trying to say about that. But if I think that's the move, like if I think that's what the Lakers should do, I mean, I don't agree with, just bringing one star player. I don't think bringing one star player is the answer that the Lakers need. However, I'm not going to doubt LeBron, and I'm not going to doubt the ability that he has to make his teammates better. Granted, maybe his teammates just play horribly in the postseason like they always do. D'Angelo Russell, Kevin Love, who else played bad in the postseason when J.R. Smith, and so many other players that I could name off that just did not perform while LeBron performed in the postseason, but I digress. So I think Klay is going to weigh his options between the Orlando Magic, or the Los Angeles Lakers. Those are going to be his big options. Now, Other teams that are interested in him as well are the 76ers and the Clippers. Now, I think the 76ers, now that they have Paul George, they're not going to bother trying to get Klay Thompson because Klay Thompson is going to try to ask for a lot of money. So I think that team is officially off the table because this was a tweet coming in from Woj before. But the Clippers, on the other hand, maybe that could be another destination that he decides to go to. But I digress. Now, with that, we are out of time for this 4th segment. So now we will go ahead and go into the 5th segment where I'm going to recap every single move in the free agency that has happened right now. Everything that has happened from, player signings, player trades that I haven't already covered. I'm going to try to cover all of them in the 5th segment. So be sure to stay tuned so that way you could stay updated with it right after this short break. And we are back with the 5th segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this 5th segment, we are going to talk about all of the free agency moves that have recently happened, all the signings, all the trades, this, that, and the other. So before I get into that, however, we do have another comment coming in from Maine. I'm just going to call him Maine just because, why not? He says, I think his shooting, Klay Thompson, because that's what we were talking about before in the previous segment. I think his shooting range diminished in the last 2 years. If you notice now, he moves on D-court. He doesn't cut well. Well, I mean, yeah, he doesn't really, I understand, he's been a cutter in recent, in the past. There are plays where he cuts to the basket, but his main value comes with the 3-point shot. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that his 3-point shot has been the same as it was several years, but that's not to say that it's really that bad. 38% from 3, while it isn't, the same efficiency that we're expecting from Klay Thompson, shooting 40% from 3, for the entirety of his career, 38%, it's not that bad. It's really not that bad shooting. I mean, from the 3-point line, that's not that bad at all. And, obviously, it's not the same, percentage that he shot in previous years, like how in 2018 he shot 44% from 3, or how in 2016 he shot 42% from 3, but 38% from 3, it's still pretty darn good, I think, shooting the ball, especially in the current NBA right now with how many people shoot a bunch of threes. I think that's a very good field goal percentage from 3. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but a lot of people, they over-exaggerate exactly how bad Klay Thompson was just because of his performance in the elimination game when he went 0 for 10. And I'm sorry, but that one game is not going to determine a player for me. It's just that simple. Put some respect on his name. And on top of that, let me just go ahead and look at the rest of in the postseason. I mean, he's obviously, not the same player that he was previously, but he shot 44% from the 3-point line in 2019, 38% recently, in 22, in the year 22, and then 36% in the year 23. Now, I'm not saying that this is, the level that I expect Klay Thompson to shoot, but that's not it's bad either. Like, that's not a bad 3-point shooting percentage either. But that's just me, though. That's just me. I mean, you can make your opinions all you want, but I genuinely don't think that, the shooting is that bad coming in from Klay Thompson. Again, just my opinions, but like I think we're a little bit too harsh on this thing. However, now we will go ahead and go into the free agency. Now, this is going to really sting me because the first thing that I'm going to talk about is that the Knicks, they couldn't get Isaiah Hartenstein. Yes, the Knicks, they let Isaiah Hartenstein walk. He signed an $87 million contract for 3 years with the Oklahoma City Thunder. So now he is on the Thunder. This is a great pickup for the Thunder. He's a fantastic player. Good for the rotation. Not entirely sure if he's going to be starting for that team, but now this Thunder team is definitely very, very dangerous. I mean, the Knicks, I really wanted them to sign Hartenstein. Like, they needed to re-sign him, but given all the money that now they're going to have to split among all of those players, especially OG taking all of that money in the new contract that he signed, it was going to be really hard to get Isaiah Hartenstein to, re-sign and join the Knicks once again. But that's the first thing that we're going to talk about free agency. It is the most recent thing. So, now we are going to talk about the first 18 hours of free agency. So, Kelly Oubre, he signed a 2-year contract with the 76ers, $16.3 million. Tyrese Maxey, I believe he signed a 5-year, $204.5 million contract with the 76ers. So that's the money that they're giving, and I don't know if you guys heard that, but that was my mother screaming goal over there, because she's watching soccer. Actually, you know what? While we're doing that, why don't you guys go ahead and tune into the soccer podcast? We do have a soccer podcast, and our host, he's phenomenal. He's very, very intelligent with the overseas network of soccer. Like, he's way more intelligent than me with overseas soccer and things of that nature. So very valuable. He's a great asset. So go ahead and tune into the soccer podcast as well. But anyways, mention how Maxey, he's gonna be on a 5-year, $204 million contract. Next, Aaron Wiggins, he signed a 5-year, $47 million contract with the Thunder. Isaiah Joe, 4 years, $48 million contract with the Thunder. Obviously, these are re-signings that I'm mentioning. So, not many teams that are in the, the free agency market. Not many players in the free agency market for right now because, they're re-signing for a bunch of teams. Now, we go ahead, like as I mentioned before, Derek White, he re-signed with the Boston Celtics, or he signed the extension with the Celtics. Luke Cornett, still no idea how much he's going to ask for with the Celtics. Kevin Love signed a 2-year, $8 million+ contract with the Miami Heat. And let's see who else. Andre Drummond signed a 2-year, $10 million contract with the 76ers. Kevin Porter Jr., he signed with the Clippers for 2 years. The money on that contract, not entirely sure. Now, let's go ahead and see what is going on. Eric Gordon, he signed a 1-year, $3.3 million contract with the 76ers. Chris Paul, a 1-year, $11 million contract with the Spurs. Jonas Valanciunas, 3-year, $30 million contract with the Wizards. Mason Plumlee, he's going to be on the Suns, I believe, for 1 year. Najee Marshall, 3 years, $27 million from the Dallas Mavericks. Derrick Jones Jr., 3-year, $30 million coming in from the Clippers. Jalen Smith, 3-year, $27 million from the Chicago Bulls. Tobias Harris signs with the Detroit Pistons for 2 years on $52 million. Should also mention that Cade Cunningham signed an extension with the Detroit Pistons that amounted to, let me go ahead and pull up the contract negotiations there and the contract deals. 5-year, $226 million contract. And we have someone in the comment section, Alberto Ortiz. He says, Klay is going to be an LA Laker because his father was a father. Okay, I mean, whatever you say. I mean, his father was a father. That's gonna be the reason why he's on the Lakers, sure. But I don't know. Not entirely sure if he's going to be. I do understand, his father. He has connections with the Lakers. Not entirely sure if that's really gonna be where he signs, though. I mean, it's still up in the air. Genuinely, it's still up in the air for them. But that's just me. So now let me just continue with this list. See how many other players that I missed. Drew Eubanks, he signed a 2-year deal with the Utah Jazz for $10 million. And Luke Garza, he signed a 2-year contract with the T-Wolves, but the contract on that, I'm still unsure about that. I don't have the exact number, so I'm not going to say anything. Next, on this list, Pascal Siakam, as I mentioned before, he signed 4 years, $189 million. Gary Payton re-signed with the Golden State Warriors on a 1-year, $9.13 million contract. Malik Monk, as I mentioned before, re-signed with the Sacramento Kings. I mentioned OG. I also mentioned Reggie Jackson. Keita Bates Diop, he signed with the Brooklyn Nets again on 1 year, $2.6 million. I mentioned Claxton before. I also mentioned Emmanuel Quickley before. Let's see. Jose Alvarado, he's signing a 1-year, $1.9 million contract with the Pelicans. Jermaine Rob Earl signed a 1-year, $2.2 million contract. Bruce Brown signed a 1-year, $23 million contract. PJ Tucker signed a 1-year, $11 million contract with the Clippers. Josh Richardson, 1-year, $3.05 million contract with the Heat. D'Lo picked up his player option. Russell Westbrook also picked up his player option with the Clippers and is there for 1 more year on $4.03 million. Banton, he is Delano Banton. He signed a 1-year, $2.2 million contract. He picked it up with the Portland Trailblazers. Jackson Hayes, $2.46 million for 1 year coming in from the Lakers. Jashawn Tate, 1 year, $7.07 million. Sam Hauser, 1 year, $2.09 million with the Celtics. Royce O'Neal, 4-year, $44 million contract with the Phoenix Suns. Cam Reddish, player option with the Lakers, $2.46 million. Garrison Matthews with the Atlanta Hawks, a 1 year, $2.23 million. Let's see, who else? Rashawn Holmes, 2 year, $25.9 million with the Wizards. Let's see. Bol, he re-signed with the Suns, and the contract deal with that, I'm not entirely sure. And let me see, who else? Who else did I miss? Did I miss anyone? James Harden, he ended up signing a 2-year, $70 million contract with the Los Angeles Clippers. DeAndre Jordan, 1 year, $3.6 million with the Denver Nuggets. Patrick Williams, 5 years, $90 million with the Chicago Bulls. Alex Len, 1 year, $3.3 million with the Kings. Obi Toppin, 4 years, $60 million with the Pacers. Max Christie, 4 years, $32 million with the Lakers. And I believe that's it. I believe that's all the free agency signings for the so far. Let me know in the comments whether or not you guys would like me to go a little bit more in depth in some of these free agent signings. But aside from that, that's all the news that we have from. Let me just go ahead and check Twitter just to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Nope. That seems to be all the free agency news coming in the NBA recently. So that is all wait just a second. Maine is in the comments again. Any suggestions that will help? Oh, I guess, okay, D means the. Any suggestions that will help the Lakers in rotation that's not a superstar at all? Honestly, you know what? I don't have the answer for that right now because I've only been thinking of the superstars that they could potentially get, because that seems to be the route that the Lakers want to go in. But I would much rather the Lakers sign a couple of role players that could fill in the role that they would need, particularly in shooting as well as playmaking while LeBron's on the bench. I understand D'Lo is a solid playmaker as well, but I really think that the Lakers, they would need to surround themselves with better shooters. They also would need to surround themselves with maybe one more guard that can playmake that comes off the bench for D'Lo, and while LeBron is sitting down on the bench as well. And in terms of rotations, with the rest of the team, I genuinely don't think okay. First of all, Westbrook is hold on just 1 second. Ortiz is also in the chat. He's saying Westbrook, he picked up his player option and he's going to the Clippers. So he's staying on the Clippers with James Harden and Kawhi Leonard. So that's where Westbrook is going. And just to answer your question, but for the answer on the Lakers and their rotation, I will have to think more about that and what other players in the free agency market they could look to get, or what other players they could potentially try and trade, because all of these hypothetical scenarios, that's not really what's going to happen for the Lakers. They are going to bank on trying to get that third star. Now, it could be Klay Thompson. It could also be Donovan Mitchell. There were reports that they were trying to work on a trade to try and get Donovan Mitchell. I don't really agree with that move whatsoever, but that's sort of the style that they're going with. If they do get Donovan Mitchell, then I genuinely think that he's going to be a great asset to the team, without a doubt. Definitely going to be a great asset, but they will have to give up a lot in order to get him, which is why I don't really agree with that move whatsoever. Assuming that Donovan signs that extension with the Cavs, which is what's going to happen. And so if they trade that player, then again, LeBron is taking a pay cut, so they should be able to pay Donovan if they do end up trading him. I just don't agree with trading all of those pieces for just one player, because if you remember, the Lakers, they did that previously with Russell Westbrook, where they traded away literally every single piece to their championship team just for one player, and they missed the playoffs. So I don't agree with that, and I genuinely think just signing Klay Thompson would be a little bit smarter, but at the same time, I could understand why people wouldn't want to sign Klay Thompson, because of the thought process that getting a third star on the team might not be the best approach. But that's what LeBron and Anthony Davis want, so you can't really go against what LeBron wants, especially if Anthony Davis agrees with him. So with that out of the way, let me know if you want me to further break down what the Lakers could possibly do with free agency, because I can do that tomorrow when I go live again at 12:30. But aside from that, that's all the free agency updates, and that is all the news that I have for you guys, and that is the end of the 5th segment. Therefore, that's the end of the show. So thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show, leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. And as usual, please remember to use the link in the description to get your comments recognized, or the link displayed below the ticker on every single show segment. That is GSMCPodcast.net. It really helps the show, makes it a lot more interactive, even though we've been interacting pretty solidly right now. But that is all that I have for you on this show, and that is all that I have. Be sure to tune in tomorrow at 12:30, where I go live again and talk about basketball again. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Great questions coming in from you guys as well. I am your host, Nelson, and as always, take care.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn ain't that